Good evening, Randomizer fans, and welcome to a match in the Irongol League. I am Melee Wizard, alongside me is DVS. How are you doing today?
I'm good, doing good. I'm super excited about this particular race because anyone who's watching this is going to be very confused about the majority of this seed, and I can't wait to see how our runners respond to it.
Yep, this is a rather interesting circumstance because our runners have no idea what these flags are. We were given information on what the flags are. We can kind of divvy out information on that as we go.
We wouldn't want to ruin it for them too, you know. Like,
I would say we could elaborate on things as we see them, I guess.
Absolutely.
But for our runners, yeah, they're going to have to figure things out as we go, and we'll see what kind of assumptions they might have going in.
And I mean, just even looking at some of them, I feel like if you play a lot of Randomizer, especially if you're playing brackets a lot, or we had that Lich's Low Limit tournament going on, if you've been playing the same seeds and flags over and over and over again, probably get accustomed to kind of the quote-unquote usual flag sets that might be used. Who knows if they're on tonight?
Yep, and goodness knows, whenever I play FFR, I kind of have my usual that I tweak every now and again, and yeah, this is a lot different than that, for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are here tonight. 10 p.m. on the East Coast.
Yep.
So it's gonna be a little bit of a late night, but honestly, I think that just means we're gonna have a lot of fun together.
All right, so some of the information that I feel I can give out, some stuff that we will be seeing pretty much right away. They will start with the ship immediately. They will also be starting with the canal immediately.
Which is, now that I think about it, would you instinctively think that you had the canal? Would you check? Or what would you do?
Maybe after checking Meat Garland and or the Pirates. Assuming that, entrance shuffle isn't being a thing.
It might be. No idea.
It might be, and oh boy, I think we might be seeing something interesting just on Party Generation. Oh my, what the heck are we about to see here?
Oh my. Oh.
So we've got Quad Thief on Dwight's side.
We'll see what WillBloodworth counters with. I mean, do you know if they've done a draft or if they agreed, or is this up in the air?
Looking at the IRC chat, it was brought up, and actually it was Dwight that brought it up, and Will seems, according to IRC chat, SRL chat, he seems to be willing to remake his party to accommodate this.
So it's Thief versus Thief. It should be an interesting. It just makes it even more interesting. From your perspective, what's the benefits of having a 4-thief party? I know there's a lot of downsides, but what's the benefits?
Being able to run. That's the big thing. If you've got, I do believe we do have Free Tail on. Free Tail is on, so if we can find the floater sooner rather than later, we can have 4 ninjas pretty quickly, and if we've got some good black magic early, we might be off to the races.
It's true. Well, and there's also 2 katanas out there, and
True.
So with the high crit rate that those have, at least in the end game, thieves might not be as bad as they typically play out in that mid game.
Actually, looking at this, we might not have 2 katanas. We actually have randomized treasures on, so who knows how many katanas there might be, not to mention how many ribbons and who knows what else.
Yeah, and the whole idea of this flag set being completely blind to both of these runners, they're going to have to think very much on their toes, and we as commentators, Ragnarok is tracking for us today. He's definitely going to be on his toes, and I'm sure you guys watching, again, you're in for a great treat tonight.
And it looks like Will is not taking any responsibility for what we may be seeing today.
Well, and who knows? I mean, this could be the party they have for the entire match. It might not be. They might down 3 quick. Who knows?
Possibly. Though another thing of note. Hold on. So one other thing we do have that our runners won't know about, we do have Tavern mode on, and all the classes are available. So they're starting with 4 Thieves now. Whenever they see that the Tavern is available, we'll see how long that sticks around.
So for people who might not be familiar with Tavern mode, is there going to be a way for runners to know without going into a building that's in Tavern mode as opposed to vanilla?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What you'll see is when you walk into a town, normally when you walk into, I don't remember what the name of it, you see a heart above the door. Instead of a heart, runners are actually going to see the word pub, P-U-B.
Ah, yes.
So we'll see how quickly they catch on to seeing pub as opposed to that heart, how quickly they're going to respond and adapt to that, to really figuring out that Tavern mode's on. At this point, I think we're just waiting for the runners to get the signal to go. What does Tavern mode do?
Yes, I was just sending our runners loose. Basically, what
gotcha.
Tavern mode does, I don't have much personal experience with Tavern mode, but I want to say that if you may correct me if I'm wrong, but if one of your party members is dead, you can use the Tavern mode to replace a party member with another, and each given tavern is keyed to a specific class.
Our runners are off, and instinctively both runners checking out Canaria Castle, probably just to find out if Entrance Shuffle is on, because if Entrance Shuffle is on, then Canaria Castle will bring them somewhere else in the world.
And I saw both Exit and Warp in level 1 magic. I don't think I saw too much else. And the King had an Aegis shield.
King shouldn't have an Aegis shield. Like, King should have incentivized items, and the Aegis is not even on the incentive list. Mm-hmm. It looks like we can't really expect those NPCs to have some of those incentivized items that we're used to. And I think I saw Ice 3 in the Black Magic shop.
I certainly did, and I see it. Dragon Sword +2. Expensive, but that can help get a thief off the ground for the early going here. And we see WillBloodworth getting a first taste of Randomizer. So who knows what these enemies are? We don't know how strong they are. We don't know what kind of abilities they have. It's going to be an experience for all of us seeing what these things are and what they can do.
Ooh, and expensive houses too at 3,200 each. They're gonna have to be a little conservative with that money.
So Will making a beeline for Provoca, seeing that if Town Shuffle's on, it hasn't manifested itself, but we have shop shuffles. So we got the Lefane shop, at least Black Magic shop, at least in Provoca. So we won't have level 2 magic for a little bit.
Yeah, and Lit 2 at level 8. So usually you're looking at Provoca to have 8 solid spells at the very beginning of the game. 4 white, 4 black. Usually by the time you get to Provoca, you have at least 1 AoE magic spell. And our runners are probably not going to be very happy to find out that they're not going to find any AoE magic in Provoca.
Yeah, and Will didn't see that the pub in Provoca had a white mage, but I'm seeing in SRL chat, at least for the time being, they have a gentleman's agreement to not use the taverns.
Oh my.
For now.
Now.
We'll see how things go, but for the time being, we're going to be staying with 4 thieves.
It looks like Town Shuffle is not on at the moment. I mean, it could be Town Shuffle and they just happen to get Vanilla Provoca. But it looks like we have entrances are Vanilla, and it looks like Towns are Vanilla at this point.
Yeah, I can confirm that this is not entrance shuffle in any way, and we saw Katana -3 in Matoya's cave.
Especially if you're running four thieves, you are not going to want to see Katana -3.
No.
Well, speaking of which, the plus and minuses after the end of each weapon and armor is because we have Blurst on. It's blessed and cursed, right?
Yep.
So if you see a number underneath or after a weapon or an armor set, essentially what that's doing is it's giving it a buff. You'll see a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And depending on what number is afterward is how buffed up that particular item is. It also goes down in the negatives.
Right. And for weapons, that impacts attack strength, hit percent, and crit rate. While for armor, it affects absorb and evade penalty.
Now we have, it looks like he's fighting the pirates. WillBloodworth has gone back to Temple of Fiends.
And pirates have Dazzle at the very least, so we do have a script on the pirates, and Dwight is not having any of it right now.
Will looks like he's really trying to check those chests inside of Temple of Fiends. Basically got a rapier and some money. Dwight's heading back up to Matoya, where Will has already checked out.
And so we're however long in, looks like the timer hasn't turned on yet, but neither of our runners both parties are all still a level 1.
They haven't been seeing not very friendly enemies so far around Canaria. It looks like that walkable path over to Dwarves was cut off for our runners. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to run out to Dwarves to do a quick check of those 2 chests.
Yeah, we do not have the southern progression expansion on, so.
Looks like Will...
And our tracker, Ragnarok, mentioning that with the free tail and the loot, we do have Chaos Rush enabled.
Hmm.
So at least the loot, at least with the loot, it's one less thing that we have to hunt around the world for.
Absolutely. And doesn't that also pull the requirement of the key as well? With Chaos Rush...
I want to say yes. Although the goodness of the key is still in the incentive pool for other reasons.
Looks like in the dwarf check.
Ooh, that's ice sword +5.
Oof.
And expresses his dissatisfaction on the hooray dwarf.
That ice sword +5 is really going to do well for these runners. That's essential. Like, ice sword is one of the better, more end game weapons you don't need to promote for. So to see that at a +5,
you need to promote the thieves for that.
That one for the +5, because it's red mages that you have to promote to use the ice.
Right. I think the best weapon, straight up, might be like the dragon sword or something for thieves. And Garland looks different.
Yeah, that's
Ninja can definitely use ice sword. And Sarah just has a bunch of money. There's only 2 weapons that a ninja cannot use, and that's Excalibur and the Wizard Staff, which seems kind of random, but there you go.
Ring 2s for 15,000 in Elfland. A little expensive to try to pass out to all of our party members.
Yeah, and we got level 5 magic, at least in Elfland. Not a heck of a lot in the black magic, at least. I didn't see if Will had checked any of the other magic shops, though.
Yeah, I didn't see him check either. Looks like Dwight is making his way to Elfland as well, checking out the weapon shop. Those Wood 3 nunchucks, not very useful for a majority of our classes. If we had some black belts, it would have been nice to see, but not for this particular party set.
No. And Dwight checking to see if the giant sword is equipable, and it is not.
Will making his play against the upgraded Garland sprite.
So if Garland's looking different, I'm kind of curious what the other bosses are going to look like.
Even what kind of scripts they're going to have, what spells they're going to have. Again, who knows what we're going to see in this particular seed, and it looks like Garland's hitting hard.
Well, I think Will's party is still level 1, I think. Whereas Dwight had grinded up to 4 or some such. So there's a bit of a difference right there. And Dwight looks like equipped some buckler +2s across the board. So that's a bit of a heads up play right there. Get some early absorb.
Well, it looks like Will is noping out of Temple of Fiends for the moment. And we'll see if he decides to go somewhere else or if he's just going to level up and give it another shot. Well, Will's up to level 4 at the moment, just in his walk back to Canaria. And WillBloodworth is heading back up to Temple of Fiends. It looks like he's going to give Garland another try. Well, Dwight ends up heading towards Dwarfs, it looks like.
Yeah, possibly. I don't think either one has checked for free canal yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of them do that. I imagine Dwight's going to take a look as he gets closer to Dwarf Cave. We'll see what he does. He picks up his Ice Sword +5.
Fortunately, he can't use it. And Will takes down the updated Garland and gets the whole bunch of money and the Aegis Shield. Yeah, and it is confirmed at the very least we don't have Southern open progression. At the very least the beta site that was used for making this, it does separate Northern, Southern, and extended progression. So at least we know that the Southern is off. We don't know about the others yet.
I don't know if you saw, but it didn't seem like Dwight actually went far south enough to see whether or not the canal was actually there. I feel like he needed to go a couple tiles south to actually check to see if the canal was free or if it was still loose.
Ooh, these elves have ruse. That's going to be annoying.
And they're unrunnable.
Oh, of course. And, they have heal 3 too.
Heal 3.
Yeah,
my.
That's a big no.
WillBloodworth going back to the shop, picking up some items, and it looks like Dwight's just trying to get back to his boat.
Yeah, these enemies are not being very nice right now.
Especially when you don't have any sort of AoE magic on you. I'm really relying on those thieves and their weapons, which there's really not that many weapons that a thief could use at this point.
No. But at least they're already at 2 hits, so that will help.
True. Very true.
One nice thing about the Thieves is that they have, especially. Let me just double check to make sure that. Yep. Especially on these particular flags, they're getting hit percent a lot faster than they would in the vanilla game, much less compared to say fighters and black belts.
Yeah. But it looks like it. I just saw on WillBloodworth's screen, but I'm sure both of our runners are taking advantage of some of the heftier weapons that are to be sold in the Canaria shop. And it looks like WillBloodworth has found his free canal.
Yep.
He's heading over to Melmond.
And whoop, there's some gold bracelets +2 for 22,000. Not bad.
For really more of an end of the game armor.
Oh geez, there's the +5 ice swords for sale for 6,000. Wow. And it's level 3 magic. Ice 2, Bane, and Zap in there.
They got to be excited to see Ice 2 at 600 or so. Little expensive for Bane and Zap. The benefit of them is they're insta-kill magic, but there are some enemies that have defenses against them. Again, I think you're going to see them taking a look at how much money they have and probably trying to reserve spending all of their money too soon to make sure that they have everything that they need forward.
It's Dwight heading back to Elfland. We'll see where he decides to go from here, as Will heading towards Earth Cave.
First, he must get by the elf.
The elf? I don't know.
It's a leaf. Ooh, what is that?
Hopefully they're not as mean as they look, but you guys definitely have to have a double take when you see something like that.
Okay, well, it looks like it didn't have the thousands of HP that you'd expect a war mech to have.
Nor are they dealing the hundreds of damage that you would expect either.
That's gonna bring a sigh of relief from Dwight at that point. And it looks like WillBloodworth is heading into Earth Cave first floor.
Yeah, that first chest was just a cabin with frost wolves on the trap tile.
Looks like Will's going back to pick up his cabin, and he's woof.
Okay. Now we don't know what to think.
Oof, and those knights are hitting hard.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Will has even bought any armor for those thieves yet. At least Dwight at least got some bucklers. I don't know if Will even did that much.
Is Dwight trying to grind, or is he just getting the same encounter over and over?
That it might be on the power cycle. I didn't really look, but it's giving some decent experience at least.
Looks like WillBloodworth is checking out the Hall of Giants, first floor for Earth. Getting Seabolls.
Unrunnable and hit pretty hard. And it turns out the pub in Elfland is for thieves.
Mm-hmm.
And ooh, there's the chime. Loose.
What? Having a loose chime.
Uh-huh.
That brings me to the question, how many loose items are runners going to have? And we already know that the main quest NPCs are not going to have incentive items. Just found a chime in a loose chest. Again, neither of these runners know what this flag set is. They're going to be guessing just like all of us are.
And Dwight is making the marsh play. Still hasn't even seen that the canal is there. And oh my. We've seen how spell happy those elves are, but he's able to get away. And Z imps, oh geez, and the Z imps have fast and crack.
So Marsh once again showing us why our runners hate Marsh.
Yeah. Dwight, you don't get experience by taking out the bats like that.
I could see him just trying to check chests and get out of there as soon as possible. WillBloodworth has just left Earth, left Melmond, and it looks like he's heading potentially towards Crescent Lake.
Possibly. We might have free early sages. Never hurts to check.
Typically, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in the vanilla game, you have to defeat Lich in order for sages to give you their item, correct?
Correct.
So if the free sages check is on, our runners can get a free incentive, well, quote-unquote incentive item. We'll see what they actually get.
Right.
Without having to defeat Lich. And if that flag is not checked, then they're going to have to defeat Lich before the sages will give them any item.
Yep. And yeah, the north side of Marsh didn't really have much, except for the imps with a lot of death.
I mean, I think that's what Marsh is, a marsh of death and destruction for everyone that enters.
Not much in the Crescent Lake item shop.
Our
silver +5, silver -5. Not much in the weapon shop. What? Level 4 black magic with temper.
Our great tracker Ragnarok pointing out that there was a 10k gold chest in the north part of Marsh.
And yep, the confused old man is off and gave about 10k in gold.
I think that gold is going to be very important for these runners, especially with the moves around magic shops.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the 200 or 300 gold magic spells that we're used to at the early game.
Well, at this point, you're just scouting for magic, because until you get you already have the tail, but until you get that floater, you won't be able to actually buy any of it.
In thinking about what our runners have access to at the moment, depending on whether or not
well, there's a bridge.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if you saw. I didn't even notice that the bridge wasn't on. So even for me, that's an item used to having free. Found its way into Marsh Cave.
Thing is, I don't think bridge is even in the bridge isn't even in the incentivized items list at all. I was just looking through it, and you either have free bridge or you don't. And it turns out they don't. And I look over and I saw toxic ankylos of some sort and WillBloodworth heading for Mirage.
So WillBloodworth is going for the Mirage check. There's also on-rack that he should be able to get to. Normally in the vanilla game, that south port below Mirage is not typically there, but that is our northern open progression flag that we're able to check. That lets Will get into both Mirage and over to on-rack.
So the southern open progression is off. The northern one is on. I don't know if we found out about extended yet, and we've got a couple eyes. Let's see if they're the kind of eyes we all know and love here.
That would be quite evil to have, death eyes with and only 280 something experience for those.
Not much, but there is the bottle there.
And did WillBloodworth just get 40k in gold? It was either 4,000 or 40,000.
Ooh, there's an opal bracelet +5 on Dwight's side. Oh my, that's nice.
It looks like that marsh dive is really paying off for Dwight. WillBloodworth makes his way towards the greater than less than room. He can get any more luck on the second floor of Mirage.
I think Dwight's kind of forgotten which rooms actually have treasure or not. And there's a ribbon, -4, but it's still a ribbon. And an X for stick, -3, and there's the key.
3 great chests to pick up.
And a pro cape. Always nice.
The nice thing about that ribbon, even though it's -4, I believe that even with burst weapons, it's set so that you have a minimum of 1 absorb that each item has to have.
I thought the minimum was 0, but I do know that it cannot go into negatives.
It's either 0 or 1, and normally I believe the ribbon only has 1 absorb to begin with.
Correct.
He's not really losing much with that -4. And
yeah, with the ribbon, if it's a plus, cool, bonus. If it's a minus, it's still a ribbon.
Still a ribbon. You're not going to complain when you see a ribbon. Looks like WillBloodworth has completed his full Mirage check. I'd imagine, where would he go from here? He could head over to OnRack to see if there's a vendor item.
Possibly.
Other than that...
with that key, that opens up a good bit of options by itself.
It's true. There is the potential for the Canaria keylock chest to have an incentive item. There's also the Marsh keylock chest that could have an incentive item.
Possibly. We've got a significant number of places where the incentivized could be on. We've got Ice Cave, Ordeals, Marsh Cave, Titan's Trove, Earth Cave, and the Ruby Chest, Volcano at the Red Dragon Chest, Sea Shrine at the Slab Chest, Sky Palace at the Adamant Chest, Corneria Locked where the TNT was, and Marsh Locked. Any of them could have incentivized items for all we know.
Oh, and our wonderful tracker Ragnarok pointing out that there's also those dwarf chests. Those dwarf chests, if you remember to pick those up, you can often find at least 1 very valuable item down there.
And if nothing else, you can, especially this early on, having money is never a bad thing.
Absolutely, especially when you have these randomized shops with magic that's really putting you in the tens of thousands. Also pointed out in chat that we also have the Topher checks. There are 3 keylock checks in Topher that these runners could also head towards, and we'll see if WillBloodworth heads over to those as well.
And Dwight is taking a stab at the pirates.
Opal Shield +2 on WillBloodworth's side.
It's nice, but unless they decide to use the taverns, it won't be. It's just good for money at the moment.
Just good money, yeah. I mean, that's essentially all he found in Dwarf Keylock is money, 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 and an Opal chest, which is basically money.
All right, so Dwight is able to weather the Dazzle Storm so far, so we'll get to see what Bicky has for us in just a moment. Oh, and there's Frost.
And I don't know how accurate our timer is, but at approximately 26 minutes, we had our first bridge boss.
And Bicky has a tent. Honestly, the experience is probably more valuable.
Mm-hmm. That and what little money that Bicky's willing to give up.
And someone in chat mentioning that the tavern is on. Both of our runners have seen that tavern is on. For the time being, at least, there's a gentleman's agreement that they will not be using them. We'll see how long that lasts, how well our runners can progress at the moment, but for the time being, 4 Thieves is what we have. 4 Thieves is what we will be having for the foreseeable future.
And WillBloodworth making his way through those keylock chests, finding money in a buckler 2.
And there's a canoe.
In the canoe.
Oh boy, that opens up a lot.
That definitely puts WillBloodworth ahead at this point with all the different types of checks he can make.
Yes.
And as a reminder, WillBloodworth found that in the greater than less than room in Mirage.
The key, yes.
Correct. And I haven't seen Dwight head towards that canal anytime recently.
He has not. I don't think he has.
Until he decides to head underneath that canal, I don't know how soon it's going to be before he makes his way up to Mirage.
Well, there's really nowhere else he can go at this point. He's already full cleared marsh as much as he can. Where else can he go?
I mean, hopefully he's not banging his head against the wall trying to figure out where he's supposed to go with that open canal on the side.
Well, there's another Opal +5 for Will in one of the Topher lock chests.
Oof.
You always like that, and he's going out to save that. And Dwight wanted to check the canal, but can't get past the river.
I think he was praying for open extended progression, which would actually allow Dwight to head from Northwest Palace to Dwarves. That particular flag was not checked, and it didn't go high enough for him to see the canal.
Nope.
Oof. Is he heading back to Marsh?
And not much in the northern Topher chest, and it looks like Dwight is going back into Marsh.
Oh,
Maybe he thinks he forgot a chest on the bottom floor or something.
He must. I don't think he's seen the free canal. I think he's running on the assumption that there's no free canal. That he must have forgotten something in Mirage. Oh, he's checking the linked chests in Marsh 2. While WillBloodworth still running through those key lock chests. To answer the question in chat, we have not seen Dwight leave the Inner Sea yet.
Nope.
Again, we're not sure he knows he has a free canal.
Yeah, I think he's run on the assumption that it's not, possibly because it's not something that he's used to having.
Yeah, it's as far as the seeds I know I've been running recently, they've all had that loose canal in them. So even though it seems counterintuitive to see that something free might actually be a bad thing, it's outside of the usual flags these runners are running. Anything can throw you.
Yep, and this flag set was crafted specifically for this race, so our runners have no idea what these flags were ahead of time. I'm honestly a little surprised that we were given any information on what these flags were.
Agreed. Dwight's probably disappointed by finding a chest that he hadn't checked only contained about 2,000 in gold. It looks like WillBloodworth making their way down to Marsh as well.
Well, it's either dive Marsh, that may or may not have incentivized stuff, or go to Volcano, or go to Ice, and really, with the Randomizer on, you have no idea what to expect from the enemies, so one place might as well be the same as another.
I feel like that's an interesting play. Typically when you see that canoe come up, you see a lot of runners heading directly towards Volcano and maybe that armory check, or heading up to, really it's that Volcano armory check. Still deciding to head directly into Marsh. I don't know if it's because he's catching up on the fact that there's a lot of loose items in this seed, and he probably just doesn't want to leave anything.
Well, one word of note, since we know that the southern progression is not on, that means, if memory serves, that also means that the canal system on the eastern side is not linked together. So you can't just go from Crescent Lake to Volcano to Ice just in one shot like that.
Yeah, that's another thing that I think especially myself, runners can take for granted these tiny little tweaks that are kind of a mainstay in Final Fantasy Randomizer. If you're expecting to go right from Crescent Lake up to ice, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
And Dwight finally saw that free canal.
And eyeing up those old +2 bracelets for 22,000. And getting another look at that ice +5 for very, very cheap. WillBloodworth finding his bridge.
Yeah, most important thing. I want to say, wasn't there one of the opal bracelets in here in Marsh as well?
Yes, I believe so. And WillBloodworth is down here with the key, which Dwight did not have when he made his Marsh deck.
True.
We're actually going to see Will, and taking out that eye trap tile, just running away from it, not even interacting with them.
I think I want to say. I think he saw that eye encounter on the way to Marsh.
Did he? Yes. Yeah. Ooh.
Fire shirt +4, so that's level 1 fire, but it's a +4. Can't really equip it with this party, and it's unfortunately it's still a single target, but it's something.
And to talk about, I mean, fire shirt +4 is not a standard Final Fantasy item.
Correct.
I believe where that comes from is the magic weapons have been shuffled, but they cast a random spell.
Yeah. Well, from Will's trip through Mirage, we had already seen a couple of those. I think we saw an X for stick in there. So we had already seen that much at least.
Right, we did. Now, no telling whether that was the black shirt or it's probably a black shirt, I guess, if it was an attack.
I'm not sure if it actually matters. It really doesn't matter. It really only matters if you try to equip it, which we can't really do with this party.
Exactly.
But these frost wolves are giving Will the business, and this group is unrunnable, and they're dazzling, and it's not good. Although I think that's probably the one that has the ribbon on. So
I was gonna say, didn't WillBloodworth pick up a ribbon earlier? If so, that is going to save him through this marsh walk. Well, if I remember correctly, touch status effects are different than spellcast status effects, right?
I believe so, yeah. I don't think touch effects care about ribbons.
And in our tracker Ragnarok coming out.
There's a lock stick +5.
Huh. And Ragnarok pointing out that not only do touch effects go through ribbons, but there's also non-elemental status effects like trance could also go through ribbons.
Will's down to one thief, which he's really no stranger to that. But we'll see if he's able to get out of Marsh with his with what he's got so far. And there's the ruby.
Ruby
in Keylock, and that's the incentivized Keylock Marsh incentivized chest.
Yeah, and again, that's just another check that oof, and there's that opal 5.
Yep.
So WillBloodworth picking up extra defense items, got the key, has the bridge. It looks like he's probably getting very comfortable at this point in the race.
He's down to solo thief. He's in his element.
Well, I mean, even with a solo thief, you got a solo thief with an opal 5, plus a ribbon, plus a protect ring. Yep. I didn't see if he had a pro cape on there. Like,
I know he had one. I don't know if he's actually equipped. If that's where it's equipped, though. But yeah, but as far as defensively goes, he's pretty much set, I think.
And Dwight finding his first encounter on that Earth 1 floor of and go in Knight, and actually looking like he's going to take them down.
Well, hey, if they give good experience.
That might be a nice grind tile. We have yet to see our runners find a grind tile to pick up some of those much-needed levels.
And with the Randomizer on, we don't know what would actually give good experience.
Absolutely.
Those eyes that we've seen certainly don't.
Yeah. That's got to be a real disappointment to see one of the highest XP enemies in the game just give you nothing in terms of experience.
Iron armor, money, harm 4 helmet.
Ooh.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something to make room for. With a number of undead enemies that can litter this game, definitely something to keep in your inventory.
Yeah. And looks like Will's not even going to bother checking the trap tiles here.
Again, I think he's starting to get comfortable. You know, he probably needs some extra levels. He's going to want to search for probably promoting and getting a better endgame weapon. In terms of defense and just having one solid character, he's running strong. Looks like he's picking up only one of his other thieves just to have another body on the field.
Yeah, he's been running two-man for a little while now.
And it looks like he also had enough equipment to almost equally load up the defense on that other thief.
Yep, and Dwight finding that chime in Earth 1.
Looks like WillBloodworth heading over to Melmon. He's probably doing the Titans and Sarda check. But considering that our main NPCs haven't had incentive items, who knows what he's going to find?
But you never know, just because they might still have something good. Plus, for all we know, the Titan's Trove could be incentivized as well. So that's probably worth checking. And Dwight discovers the Proc Gen Earth 2. Will do not dive this far.
Yeah, if you're confused about where Dwight is in Earth Cave, he is too. Oh, we'll see how he manages this new trial.
At least the stairs are right next to each other, so
that is true.
Getting down to floor 3 won't take very long, and started just having a little bit of pocket change. And there's a wall gauntlet.
Ooh, a wall gauntlet.
Ooh my, that's good. You like seeing that,
especially if looking at his armor catch. He doesn't have much.
And there's the Fire 3 sword.
Wow.
And not much else, so it doesn't look like Titan's Trove had anything this time around besides that Fire 3 sword.
I mean, really to cast any AoE magic, let alone Fire 3, which is strong against our undead enemies. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a very comfortable pickup for WillBloodworth. See where WillBloodworth ends up going now. He has the option of heading down to Earth Cave, head up to Onrak, Volcano, Ice. Really a lot of options ahead of him.
We're still looking for that all-important floater, though.
Absolutely, and Dwight seems to be making his way around that second floor of Earth Cave. Finding a lot of sharks somehow in our underground shark lair.
And as we all know, the walls have eyes.
Bloodworth heading out of the inner sea. And
he might be heading towards Volcano.
it looks like to make that volcano check. Dwight makes his way to the vampire floor.
It is possible that the ruby chest could be incentivized, so might be worth investigating. And if you find something good along the way, all the better.
Fortunately for Dwight, there are a couple chests on this floor, but they're not that far out of the way compared to some of the other chests in these dungeons. Well, Will's just doing some shopping over in Crescent Lake.
Question, Chad, is there a dictionary for what the letters mean? I have no idea. I don't think I've ever actually seen at these custom enemies before, so your guess is as good as mine. But you can just have them mean whatever the heck you want them to mean.
And Will definitely making that volcano play.
And it looks like Will is heading into Volcano. I did not see what Dwight just got in that last chest. And Dwight paying a visit to the bat room. And Will already finding more money because he needs more money.
And I see Magius asking in chat, what is this nonsense as far as flags go? Is absolute nonsense, and these runners have no idea what the flag set is. The runners have decided to keep the flag sets hidden from themselves, and they are running this. They're really trying to run this as they go.
Yeah. So far, we've seen the main progression NPCs have had pretty much nothing. The magic shops have been random, so we don't know what level of magic each shop is going to have. As the item magic has been random. Entrance Shuffle has not been on, but we've seen Proc Gen Earth 2, which I'm sure threw Dwight for a loop when he saw it. Will likely throw Will for a loop when he sees it as well.
And we also had an herb in the Earth incentive chest. Looks like the Earth chest was incentivized.
I think that was a Cure Hammer that I saw there. I think it was Cure -2.
Will just finding more little bits of money. The armory.
Yeah, after his trip through Mirage, he's pretty much been set for money.
Looks like Dwight was able to run out with that herb, and I can imagine he's heading directly towards Elfland Castle.
Oh, just finding a whole bunch of pro rings for free. Even though he's running 2-man, he's keeping all those pro rings just in case he wants to bring the other 2 up at some point.
And to answer the question in chat, we could tell you what all the incentivized locations are. Isn't it more fun to figure this out as our runners do?
Yeah, we were given information on what these flags are, but we're just trying to keep some of it as a mystery for the time being.
And Dwight making the Elfland Castle play. We'll see what the herb can give him.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Will dives right back into Volcano.
And that's the crown. So that's another check that Dwight can do right close by.
Now, that's different though, because our main NPCs, we've been getting hints and a couple $100. That was a fetch quest NPC.
True.
That particular NPC had an incentive item. So this might play into our runner's thinking now. As Dwight's holding on to that crown, he may get an incentive item when he goes up to the Northwest Castle.
It also helps to remember which one's which ones are main progression, which ones are fetch quest.
Absolutely. Bloodworth making his way towards that treasure floor in Volcano, I can imagine that he's going to go around and check every chest on this floor.
Yeah, we've seen enough loose items that you just, until you're in go mode, you can't trust this. And Astos had a ribbon, and Will Bloodworth finds the rod.
I could see, until Will Bloodworth has every single item for go mode, I'm sure he's going to check every single chest. Oh, and another Opal 5.
Wow, that's our third Opal bracelet. Holy cow. This is getting silly.
And he's going to wind up with an Opal 5, Pro Ring, and Pro Cape on every one of these thieves for too long.
So yeah, if it wasn't already apparent, we definitely have the random treasure flag on, and it's been benefiting Will a good bit so far.
And if you're tuning in with us relatively recently, one of the big things that has separated these two runners is Dwight spent a lot of time in that inner sea. We're not sure if he was just trying to be thorough or if he missed the free canal that we had. Will Bloodworth has been out of the canal a good probably 15 minutes longer than Dwight has.
Yep. And was able to explore the first floor of Earth, was able to explore the first 2 floors of Mirage, got a heck of a lot of money for his efforts, and has just been had an equipment advantage, if nothing else, over Dwight.
Not to mention finding that key in Mirage 2, which also led to the Ruby down in Marsh Key Locked, and he also found something else in Naria Key Locked, which was the canoe. So really, Will Bloodworth having the canoe and the key on top of that extra knowledge of world outside of the inner sea.
All right, looks like Will is investigating the flame armor chest. I was going to say the red dragon chest, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a red dragon.
And I am 100% behind this play. Again, with the way that we've been seeing loose items around the world, you can't leave Volcano without making this check.
And there's the TNT.
Meanwhile, Dwight back in Elflin, doing some shopping, saving up, and making his way out.
Yeah, I don't think he has been to Crescent Lake at all, so hasn't seen what those shops are. I think the not so confused old men only had about 10,000 gold, so that won't. The money will help, but it won't. It's not what Dwight's probably wanting to see at the moment. And looks like Will is actually walking this out.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. He does have 4 thieves, and carry hits very, very hard.
Yes, true.
I wonder if he's worried about the physical defense. Maybe they can take a couple hits, but if they're only doing 3 damage for 3 hits,
right? Yeah,
it would be hard to see carry go down.
And given what Will had found in on that last floor, that's finding the rod, finding the TNT, I'm sure he doesn't want to have to dive and dig those out again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the smart play. It might not be the faster play, but this is the Irongol. These are incredibly difficult seeds, and I think he knows that it's better to take the time to walk out and save. You have to redo these grinds and full clears again.
And did Will find a second ribbon in Volcano? Because I don't think I saw that. Because I know at the same time, Dwight got a ribbon from Astos, and Will got his ribbon out of Marsh 2, I think it was.
I think Will's going to make his way to Ice, but
except he has to go around the long way.
Will Bloodworth finding out that, hey, that little path you usually take from Volcano to Ice, That's not in vanilla, and he didn't turn on that flag for this particular run.
The fact that we couldn't walk to the dwarf cave, we had known that, had that information already. It just
looks like Dwight is. Where is he heading to?
he looks like he might be heading to Mirage.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't see. Again, I think that's the right move. You know, there's not really anywhere else to go but the on rack, and there's really nothing there except a shop. And yeah, I think he's gonna check Mirage. He'll find his key, and he'll probably be making the same key lock chest as Will did.
And I think this was Dwight finding out that the northern extended progression is on. So that I don't think Dwight had. I think Dwight was probably hoping, is there a dock here or not? Because until that moment, I don't think he had any way of knowing.
For the time, it looks like WillBloodworth is foregoing trying to get to ice immediately and heading back to dwarves to turn in.
Which turned into money.
Gold.
Oh boy, yeah.
I could see Will making the choice to come up here, turn in the TNT. He might do an Earth dive now that he has the rod.
Possibly, yeah.
And then potentially do the ice check after Earth, depending on what he finds down there.
Yeah, potentially taking on Lich probably seems like a more reasonable venture than trying to take on Carrie at the moment.
Absolutely, especially with that Fire 3 shirt. I think that gives a distinct advantage.
The Fire 3 shirt, the Harm 4 helmet, you're uniquely equipped to deal with it.
Yes.
Oh, it was a Fire 3 sword. It was the Fire 1 shirt, and we'll seeing Earth 2 and thinking, what the heck is this?
Being introduced to our procedurally generated Earth 2 floor. Meanwhile, Dwight's making his way up to the greater than less than room in Mirage, and he will be very happy with what he finds up there.
Oh, yes. There's the wall gauntlet.
It's one of those things, even just seeing, and Dwight picking up his ribbon -4, his second ribbon -4.
Yep.
One of these things with this procedurally generated floor for Earth 2, Will's got in his mind, there are so many loose items to leave any chests behind. Even though he had that staircase right next to him, he's definitely going to check to make sure he gets all of those chests before he leaves.
Yeah, because it's... You know how it usually is, that one chest you skip is the one that has the important thing in it.
Absolutely. Now that Dwight's finished up that greater than less than room, it looks like he's going to try to walk out. Like I said, he's probably going to make that same trek that Will did a number of minutes ago towards Canaria Locked.
A question in chat regarding the numbers next to the equipment. It is a flag that has been referred to as Blurst equipment, a combination of blessed and cursed. It's a separate flag for weapons and armor, though it's on for both in this particular case. It can any given piece of equipment can be upwards of -5 to +5, and that affects, in the case of weapons, it affects the attack strength, hit percent, and crit percent. And for armor, it modifies the absorb rating and the evasion penalty. The chest pieces, like say iron armor and opal bracelet and whatnot, is affected more so than like the helmets and gauntlets and shields.
Will's about to make his way towards the vampire to check the Earth incentive chest, and he will be the first one to actually use the rod to head down towards that next layer of Earth. We'll see if any new enemies lurk their way underneath that rod, that stone tablet.
Yeah, one quick shot of that Fire 3 sword, and the vampire went down real quick. Alright, so we're getting some new information here. And yeah, that Fire 3 sword is paying off huge in this Earth Cave right now.
Absolutely.
And Dwight getting the unfortunate news that the expanded open progression is not on, and there's Dragon Armor +1. You like seeing that, but in this current party setup, it's not really going to get much use.
And as we said, we do have Tavern mode on, which would allow our runners to hire their character classes to replace some of their current characters. However, there is a gentleman's agreement to stick with 4 thieves for the foreseeable future in this run. But we're not sure we're actually going to see that dragon armor see the light of day.
Yeah, it's basically a gentleman's agreement to keep the 4th thief party as long as it's reasonable, and at this point, I don't see that changing anytime soon.
I agree. You might have noticed as Will's been walking around, he likes to talk to bats. And him talking to bats isn't just because he's trying to be friendly. We have NPC guillotine on for this flag set, which means that anytime Will talks to a bat or any other NPC, that NPC will disappear. And that is a wonderful, wonderful flag.
Specifically, any NPC that only has one line of dialogue.
Will is the first to see Lich, and we'll see how this fight goes for him.
And he used that lock stick, and it was ineffective. So now we know that the lock and lock 2 spells are not 100% accurate. Good information, not necessarily something you actually want to see.
Good information in the sense of now I know, but definitely not a flag that you want to see.
Will only has 1 ribbon. He has not. The second ribbon was at Astos, and Will has not turned in the herb because he hasn't left. He hasn't left Earth yet. One of the ribbons was in Mirage. There was not a ribbon in Marsh. There was an opal bracelet in Marsh, but not a ribbon.
WillBloodworth.
Yep, and at about the 1 hour mark, Will lights our first orb of the match.
At this point, I can imagine that Will's going to head over to Elfland Castle to turn in that herb, and probably re-dive Volcano to see if he can take down Carrie.
Either that or head into Ice to see if that location is incentivized.
And at 1 hour and 1 minute, Dwight fights his bridge boss.
And then resets out of the bridge boss wave when he was reminded that he can't go through that way.
So we'll probably see a rematch against Dwight and the bridge boss at some point, but who knows when that's going to be.
Well, I mean, Dwight hasn't found the TNT yet, so I'm sure he'll be back here at some point.
That is true.
Question in chat: can you actually beat this game with only 2 thieves? One of Will's main things is that he's beaten this game with 1. Just straight up vanilla game with 1 thief. So if anyone knows how to deal with party comps like this, it's Will. You know, Dwight checking the Cornelia lock chest, finding that canoe. And goodness knows Will's probably keeping that second thief alive just for a little bit of safety.
Yeah, I could see him using him as a pin cushion for a little bit of this run, and really resting most of his responsibility on that thief in the 4th slot.
I mean, it helps that they're both geared up like crazy. These wizards. Oh, geez. Is
that Fade?
I saw Fade. I thought I saw something else too, but I wasn't sure what it was. But oh my, yeah. That's a dangerous thing.
It looks like those ogre. It was an ogre trap tile that Fade had. So we'll see if Will avoids that particular chest or tries to face those ogres.
Or at least tries to run away, because I don't think they were unrunnable. It was just a bad turn order. But yeah, enemies have Fade. That's something you don't see, like, ever.
Well, that's what you get when you turn on the Randomizer flag.
I guess. That's not something that I ever considered. That kind of puts the whole script shuffle thing, kind of turns that on its head, because now you don't know what to expect.
Absolutely. Dwight's rediving northwest to check those key lock chests. We'll see if he jumps on that trap tile too.
Yeah, I don't think Will ever checked those, and there's that Harm 4 helmet.
And Will opting to forego the rematch. Ooh.
There's the Oxale in the other one. Wow. Okay.
All right, so Will picking up the Oxale means he can now reasonably get to Sea Shrine.
Mm-hmm. And has more reason to head up to Waterfall as well.
Absolutely. Now, is he only a cube away from Go mode? And there's the cube!
There's
the cube!
There's the cube, and I dare say yes. With what we know and where they can go, that's pretty much Go mode right there, I think.
Oh.
Wow. This is silly.
You know, I feel like the only thing that would keep Go from being in full Go mode is that floater.
Yeah.
That's the free tail. Doesn't have promotion yet. For sure, he's gonna want to get that promotion before he even thinks about diving Topher.
Yeah, just at least having the option of having magic, because I don't think we haven't seen a heck of a lot of magic, of what magic's available. We do know Temper's at level 4. And that's really about it. Like Zap and Bane is at level 3, but that's all the information we have right now that's actually relevant to ninjas.
Looks like Will's about to get a look at that ice incentive chest in a second. We'll see what it brings him. Other than a frost manticore.
There's Gaze. It looks like it has a decent amount of absorb there.
That Fire 3 sword though is still doing work.
Yes. Oh yes. Just a good amount of experience too, and there's the Adamant.
Adamant's a great pickup. It's going to bring him back towards dwarfs. Not that far out of the way. It's not the floater he's probably looking for, but
no. Well, it could lead to it, for all we know.
Absolutely true. What we know so far, it looks like our typical incentive locations are holding incentive items. However, our main item NPCs are not incentivized.
That's the way it's looking right now, yeah. But the fetch chains are still incentivized.
Yes, yeah.
The elf prince had the crown, and Astos had a ribbon, which I am going to go ahead and confirm there is an incentivized ribbon in the pool.
Yes.
And Will makes it out of Ice Cave.
Oof, and Dwight coming face to face with the Fade from the War Ogres.
Finding that in a volcano too. Oh boy.
I want to say that was another trap tile.
I want to say Will had checked the trap tiles in volcano. That wasn't one of them. I don't. All right, so Will pretty much can go wherever he wants. Let's see what he decides to do. He's not going to Volcano. Looks like he might be going to turn in that Oxyale and see what he gets.
Either that or he's heading towards... not... Yeah, it looks like he's heading to Onrak.
Oh, yeah, if he's heading north from here, yeah, that looks like an Onrak play. But Onrak... Waterfall, maybe... Or maybe he's making an Ordeals play.
I was going to say, if he's heading right there, it looks like he's heading towards Ordeals.
Yeah.
Or
maybe he just had to round the bend there. Okay, that makes sense. And one other thing, we also have the caravan, which looks like Will might be heading that way first, because we haven't seen the key item, the shop item yet.
Correct.
And it ain't there.
Another shop item. Again, pretty expensive houses. You know, I don't think it matters too much with this particular this party comp.
And we said there were 2 pures in there. So I think we found our vendor item.
Yeah, I think our vendor item was a pure.
Yeah, so if it wasn't there, if we hadn't seen that there in Onrak, it would had to have been in Gaia. And looks like we have Waterfall proc gen as well, and remarkably short.
A very generous waterfall. And that Fire 3 sword is just doing work in this.
Not on that fight, but the Dragon Sword was doing more, and the robot had an Aegis shield.
Well, Dwight picking up his rod in Volcano.
We'll just make room for a power staff. Are we going to be seeing some shenanigans later? Did make room for an ice sword for that ice sword plus 3. That makes more sense. Yeah, these GBs were definitely resistant to fire. So just swinging with dragon swords definitely doing
Way
more
to go.
work.
Yeah, that's the amount of experience too.
And look, yeah, they have a lot of experience, so we might see our grind tile if it comes down to it. But I could see Will wanting to hold out for trying to get that floater so he can get some spell charges on those on the ninjas.
Yeah, that's a good point, because it's every odd level after promotion that you get a spell charge, correct?
I
it's
believe
up to
so,
4.
yes. And I'm question in chat about them noticing they have the free tails. They checked the inventory pretty much the moment the seed started. They saw they had loot. They saw they had the loot and the tail.
Will finishing up his waterfall check, turning off 2 encounters, then making his way back down towards Onrak.
Yeah, Will paying attention to how the early encounter table's working. So he's just burning off a couple of those 2 quick encounters and has a decent enough hero run afterwards.
Dwight's going to make this check in Volcano, and then it's going to be the decision of fight, carry, or not. And this is where I think might be a risky play to go after Carry, but if he's able to take down Carry, that gives him at least making up a little bit of that time he lost to Will.
Meanwhile, Will is diving into Sea Shrine and going Mermaid side first.
I think TFC.
You have the means, might as well.
The last thing you want is to leave that chest and have something wonderful in there.
Yeah, I think that one chest is starting to become legendary at this point. And I was noticing the levels. I think Dwight's party is at around level 13. I think Will's two thieves around 19 or 20. So, so that is helping Will. Running the two-man strats is getting those two thieves at higher levels.
And it looks like Dwight's making the carry play. We'll have to see how this goes. He's going straight attack against Carry. 3 hit for 3 damage. 2 hit for 2 damage.
2. Crit with the coral sword. I think Dwight's rocking a couple coral swords and a couple rapiers. I think, and it looks like the sea incentivized didn't have much actually.
It looks like this fight against Carry is not going how Dwight wanted it to.
No.
Getting a couple crits for maybe 50 damage, but not much other than that. And there's Ice 2 coming out. Most of his guys still standing strong though. I don't think he's gonna deal enough damage to Carry to take her down before she's willing to whittle down all of the HP of his light warriors.
Yeah. And Will finding another lock staff definitely made room for it, even though it's not a guaranteed thing. It's still better than nothing, I suppose.
But Carry just sent out Dark 2, and it looks like Carry's not being very aggressive against Dwight's warriors. Oof, never mind.
10 hits for 542.
Talking about it.
I know that top thief was able to take a hit.
Okay, all right. Commentator's curse is real. We need to stop addressing. Oh
boy. And Carry has fast too. Oh dear. This is gonna get. This is not going to be good. 20 hits for 263. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it was enough to kill.
So Dwight's got to be feeling that wipe right there.
Yeah,
now it's a question of, do you go back in and do you just pick up the key item, or do you try to face Carry again? And I don't know if I would face Carry again, given how much absorb Carry has.
Right, and you don't have the means of buffing yourself either.
No. And it looks like Dwight doesn't have the types of AoE casting weapons that Will's been able to find.
The only AoEs we've seen are Fire 3 and Harm 4. Neither of them are going to be that effective against Carry.
Absolutely. But honestly, even if throwing a Fire 3, you might get 15 or 20 damage as opposed to the 3 that we're getting dealt out by those coral swords.
True.
It's still not enough damage.
Well, there's another Harm 4 helmet.
It's like White's trying to remember which chests had valuable loot in them and which ones were able to be passed by. There was an incentive item down here, if I remember correctly.
I believe, yep, the rod was down there, yeah. Oh, there's another Aegis shield.
I believe that makes number 3 for the sea?
Yep, that was the first one that wasn't from an NPC. And there's a base pit. Oh my, yes.
I feel like that changes everything. So that Fire 3, Fade 1, Will's got some good spells now.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gotta feel a lot more confident going into carry.
Oh well, the E Hydra had Brack, but thankfully it didn't get through the ribbon. Steel armor -1, a tent. So I think some people might be wondering why Will is still checking chess, considering what he's got. For all he doesn't know whether or not the floater is incentivized. And do we need the floater at this point? Technically not. That fade stick definitely helps point it in that direction, but actually, at least having the option of having ninjas and having black magic available is it's still a nice thing to have.
I mean, right now, if you look early at the progression items, Will is in go mode. He's got the chime in the cube to light his last orb. He's got the loot and the key to get through Topher. As thieves are not going to give you the spells and a lot of the armor and weapons that you're really going to want to get through Topher.
I mean, goodness knows the equipment setup is not really going to change at all, because he's already got pro rings, opal bracelets, and pro capes. Even with ninjas, you're not going to get much better than that.
Yeah, that is true. But it goes down to DPS, and as we just saw on Dwight's screen, Coral Swords against some of these endgame bosses, or even Carry, is just not going to cut it in this seed.
Yeah, and looks like Will is noping out of Sea Shrine as well. Because even though Will's got a couple of Dragon Swords, which I want to say are better than the Coral Swords, it's still probably not going to work too well against Kraken 1.
And Dwight looking like he's making the decision, I've got my equipment, I am getting out of Volcano, I'm not going to deal with Carry again, and he's going to take his luck elsewhere.
So one word of note, Will has not checked. I don't think Will has turned in the herb yet. So he doesn't know that turns into that second ribbon, which I'm sure he'll like, but it's not the floater that he's probably hunting for.
Absolutely. I believe after this, Will has Ordeals to go to.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure he has much other than that.
He's got Sky.
It's true. Now he can get to Sky. Now he already dove into Mirage and cleared out Mirage.
Yes.
But now that he has the cube, yes, he can go into Sky.
But it looks like Will might be. Well, it looks like it might have been heading for the herb turn, but no, he's pulling in a U-turn, and looks like he's heading for Ordeals.
Yeah, I mean, especially since it's a much shorter walk from ship using the canoe than trying to get there by airship. I think Ordeals is the right play.
Not to mention, getting from Ordeals to Elfland to turn in that herb won't take long either.
Absolutely.
And Dwight finding X-vampires, seeing some of these enemy names is just like, okay.
Not to mention the interesting locations you find some of these enemies. We found sharks in the second floor of Earth. We found sea vampires. There's all sorts of weird creatures in weird places. Will making his way into Ordeals, and
finding out that early Ordeals is off.
Will doesn't have the crown, does he?
Nope, he has not turned in the herb yet. And he's not going to either.
That's just a beautiful moment. I'm just taking that moment in as we run headfirst into a wall in the vanilla game that we rarely see in these randomized.
Yep, and one of the people that crafted this particular flag set, Falconic, is delighting in being WillBloodworth's brief moment of distress.
It looks like Will is opting to go into Sky.
Well, that's for a lot of. There's a lot of chests, and there is an incentivized, potentially incentivized chest in there in the adamant chest.
Absolutely. I mean, Sky also is the lair of Tiamat, but considering what Will's been doing with these previous Fiends, I doubt we're going to see a Bridge of Destiny walk in this first dive of Sky.
Especially since, for all our runners know, Warmech might be required.
Who knows? Who knows where we'll see Warmech or if we'll see Warmech?
Yeah.
You sure know we're going to be spamming those SRNGs as we head to the Bridge of Destiny where that happens.
Yeah. Yep. For those who are unaware, Warmech can show up in a number of different ways. He could be vanilla, is your normal encounter 7. He could be patrolling the teleporter floor, the floor 4. He could also just be stationed right outside Tiamat room, and you have no choice but to go through him to get to Tiamat.
And then there's, of course, Warmech Unleashed, which puts Warmech in pretty much any encounter across the world. So you could see Warmech right outside of Canaria Castle at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah. And a thought brought up in chat, I'm actually curious to see how Warmech would interact with these Randomizer flags. I don't know.
And Will continuing to clear out all of his chests, just praying he happens upon the floater sometimes.
Yeah, Will's not going to take any chances that the floater could be loose somewhere.
Absolutely. Again, who knows if it's incentivized or not? It could be sitting there in that bottom left incentive chest, or again, it could be loose anywhere across the world.
Thing is, I think we've seen a whole lot of checks so far. There isn't that much else left to even check, because Will's cleared pretty much everything, every dungeon he's come across, and that chest had nothing. Okay.
It looks like in chat, Falconic84 looks like he found a nice little clip on Twitch right outside of Ordeals. I'm sure he's just relishing in that moment. That's definitely a highlight clip that you're gonna want to have.
Oh, there's another Cure 1, a Cure hammer. If it was Cure 4, it would be nice, but it's just Cure 1. And meanwhile, Dwight is heading back to Earth. Has that rod in hand, will likely clear the place out.
That's a nice experience. It's going to get you an orb under your belt.
Well, there's ribbon number 3. Well, 3 that we've seen, 2 for Will.
And given the way this seed's working, I wouldn't be. He's probably going to end up having to get that 4th ribbon from Axis. So.
Well, I mean that would be the 3rd one. That we've only seen 3 so far.
Oh, I got you. And these are the last 10 chests, I believe, in Sky. And
yeah,
I'm sure Will's just hoping for that floater to come any second now. Pro rings.
Pair of pro rings. Making room for a coral sword. Yeah.
Well, Dwight checking in these chests on an Earth cave. I believe this is where we found the dragon armor?
I believe so, yes. Money, ice shield, money, and more money. What? Where the heck is this floater?
Oh, what? It's probably in Ordeals. He's probably got to go back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
In the herb to get the crown. Take the crown to Ordeals. And that's probably where it is.
At this point, yeah, or it might have the crystal that leads to the floater.
Yes. True.
Since the floater is still unaccounted for. But I'm wondering if Will has forgotten that he never turned in that herb.
That's a very good point.
Meanwhile, it looks like Dwight might be taking a bit of a grind here on these X-Vamps.
It's not a bad move. He's been running a 4-man party, so he hasn't been getting the levels that Will has. I think a nice grind tile's a smart move.
And it looks like these Vamps aren't really the most threatening things.
Doing a little bit of chip damage. And that Harm 4 helm is really going to do a big help for Dwight.
Oh yeah.
Runners haven't found the slab yet, but even if they did find the slab, turn that in to get an item, they would have to have the airship already to get to Lefane.
Yep. So, in barring more loose item shenanigans, the item in Ordeals would have to either be the floater itself or the crystal that leads to the floater. Just from process of elimination.
And I don't remember what the vanilla Lefane turn-in is.
The vanilla Lefane turn-in is the chime.
The chime. That means that's a main NPC deck, which means it's probably not going to have any type of incentive item.
Aha.
However, the number of loose items we've been having, who knows what it's going to have.
Yeah, no doubt.
Happen to see where Dwight left off his levels from that mini vampire grind?
I did not. Probably. So from what I'd seen in the past, he's probably at least in the mid to high teens by now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's at 15. Looks like.
15. Okay. I know. I checked Earl's screen earlier, and it looks like he had down fighter of his down thieves. I know at least one of them is only at level 1.
Ah, right. Will never took out the pirates. I forgot about that. He's not going to get anything.
I was going to say it's not going to do much for him,
but they're all going to go down in a blaze of glory.
and the Fade staff that he picked up is going to make work of the pirates.
Oh yes. Yeah, I think Bicky just had a tent.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Dwight at his Lich 4 fight, and wow, Lich went down fast with that Harm 4 helm.
Oh yeah. And Dwight evens things up at 1 orb apiece.
Even though they are at 1 orb apiece, Will has opted to not fight the Fiends in each of these dungeons.
Right.
Will has cleared Volcano, Sea, and Sky, but has only defeated the Fiend in the Earth Cave. This might be an opportunity for Dwight to catch up, but it's really going to depend on his weapons, what levels he's willing to grind to. So Dwight's definitely not out of it.
And it also depends on how much he'll prioritize trying to find that floater, because that's pretty much what Will's been doing this whole time.
Absolutely.
And I think Will might be heading towards that herb turn-in now.
I sure hope he's heading towards that herb turn.
Yeah, there's really nothing else he can do. He's checked everything else he can get to at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, he's heading north.
Well, he had to go around the bend to get back into the... Oh, adamant! He forgot he had the adamant turn in it, and there's the
adamant is a crystal. Hey, I admit that the... Oh, did he get the adamant in Ice Cave? That's where that came from.
I forgot about that.
All of us were so worried about the urn, we completely forgot about the adamant.
Yeah. So there's the crystal. Let's see if he remembers to turn in that herb along the way. It looks like
he's going down south.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah. Okay.
We know that the herb is going to lead to the crown. The crown is going to lead to a ribbon.
Yep. Which would be ribbon number 3 for Will, which he may... Considering he's been running 2-man this whole time, he might not value that very much.
I agree. So really, we have the slab, and then potentially a weapon or an item that might be an incentive, that might be thrown into the incentive pool.
Right.
Something like the Vorpal, the Thor Hammer, Power Gauntlet.
Masa.
All depends on what those unknown flags are.
Yeah. And Will taking a quick stop at Northwest to see what Astos gives, sees it's the ribbon. He's keeping it. Okay. If nothing else, if he ever wants to bring up any of those other thieves that have been asleep for a good long time, they'll be very well equipped.
Absolutely. I missed it the first time. Asta's taken the form of an alligator, it looks like.
And gave some pretty good experience, too. I think it was about 1,700 experience, which is definitely a lot more than you normally see from Astos.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Dwight checking out that nice waterfall. And
I think he might be taking this trap tile here.
Yeah, again, I think that's a good move, considering if he can build up those levels to take down some of these fiends on the first dive, it's definitely going to help him make up some.
All right, moment of truth. Crystal turns into the floater. It pretty much had to be.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
unless it was in Ordeals, it had to be this.
Then it has to leave the question in the back of your mind. Well, what's in Ordeals? Because if
probably the slab.
You say, well, actually, now we can know that. The only thing that's left is a slab. Ordeals has to lead to the slab, and the slab is going to lead to something.
Not to mention, we also have the bottle turn-in.
That is true. I forgot about the bottle turn-in. It'll be interesting to see if Will makes any of those decisions. He's got to know that most of the, fetch quests and items are already going to be taken care of in incentives. There is a short list of items that could be thrown in the pool. Massa, Vorpal, Warhammer. We've seen enough opal bracelets. Shirt, black shirt.
Oh, and Will is going straight to Cardia. He is promoting right now.
Yeah, that's definitely the right play.
Yeah, especially since we hadn't seen, I don't think we had seen level 2 magic yet. So promoting before going there is definitely a good idea.
That's a very smart move. And as you brought up earlier that when you promote, you don't get all of your spell slots right when you promote. You have to get those through getting levels. The later you wait, the longer it's going to take you to generate some of the spell slots.
And now that Will has promoted, I'm going to go ahead and mention that the objective NPCs, specifically Dr. Un Bahamut and the Elf Nurse, that flag was on. They just happen to roll their vanilla locations.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing to see them wind up in their vanilla locations, but considering all the other things that these runners have seen today, I'm sure that's a relief to them to know that they didn't have to worry about that in this particular run.
Yeah, Will checking the weapon strengths. Turns out that the Ice Sword +5 was the better option.
That's only in terms of damage and hit rate, though, right? Not
Right.
crit rate.
Well, we can't see that.
Yeah,
There's no way. There's no way in game to see what the crit rate is.
So my point being that the katana might have a lower damage output, but if it hits more often.
Well, he wasn't even comparing the katana. He was comparing the Ice +5 to the to the fire 3 sword.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Good.
Starting to think maybe he had sold it or something, because I don't remember seeing. I didn't really look to see if it was still in his inventory or not.
I want to say it was. I want to say it was in the second thief slot. But it is at -3, so maybe he's just thinking, oh, I got Ice 5 and Katana -3. Ice 5's probably gonna have it.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, because Ice Sword's pretty good, and Dwight is making the ordeals play. Intersos won't be finding the floater here, but at least we'll see what we've got.
Dwight making his way through the pillars, trying to figure out what the pattern is. A common flag that is turned on for our runners is to randomize the pattern of these pillars outside of the vanilla set, which I believe in the vanilla set, it's always the lowest pillar available, the one that's going to lead to progression.
Correct.
And Will making his way down to Crescent Lake?
That's where Temper was. Level 4.
Yes. And Temper at level 4, we probably said this earlier, but that is something he definitely wants to see within the ninja's spell range.
Especially since I don't think we had seen Saber or Fast, so if Temper's all you gotta make the most of it.
And again, like you said, I don't think we've seen level 2 yet, have we?
I don't think so, which by process of elimination means it's gotta be in Lefane.
Yeah. And it's a question of, is Will going to take the trek all the way down to Lefane simply to check those spells? And honestly, I think he probably would make that check.
I wonder if he would go to Ordeals, see if that's where the slab is, see if he can do the slab turn in along the way, just for efficiency's sake.
I think...
Oh, never mind, that was level 2.
Level 2.
Really? That's what level 2 was there all this time. Okay, never mind what I said.
Yeah, we totally missed the original level 2 check in Elfland.
Yeah, I don't think anyone even checked them.
I take all that back in the Levine check then.
At this point, I think it might be level 6. It doesn't matter now, though.
Right.
And, Dwight getting the slab out of Ordeals. Unfortunately, that won't lead to the floater. But oh boy, yeah, with that warp at level Ice 3 warp. Will's just gearing up for war here.
But now we run into that question that we had earlier, which is, does Will decide to grind the 5 or 6 levels he needs to get more spell slots, or is he going to try to go in to Topher? Oh, actually, you know what? He has to go back and fight the Fiends anyway.
Yeah.
On his way to the Fiends, he's probably going to pick up a couple of those extra levels.
Then I'm wondering if at some point he might pick up the other two ninjas just to give them spell slots too. But at this point, he might not even bother.
Yeah, well, I could see that being a play just to, when you're down. Well, However, considering he has only ninjas, which can only learn black magic, there's no way to revive any of the thieves that would go down. So even if he was to res one of those down thieves, it's kind of a gamble for how long they're actually going to survive into one of these dungeons.
Even as geared up as they are, I think they're like level 1 and level 5 or something. And so yeah, one solid shot and they're down.
Oh, we do have our tracker pointing out in chat that Will has been buying spells for these down ninjas. So maybe he is trying to keep that as an option for himself later in the game.
Might as well do it now as opposed to having to come back and do it later.
I mean, he has the money for it.
The money is no issue. It's just a matter of it's a just in case kind of thing.
Yeah.
Say, is he likely to bring those two back? Maybe not, but at least the option is there. At least they would serve some sort of purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, you say he's wasting seconds, but it would waste more seconds going back to those towns to buy spells for those other two ninjas. And I think Dwight's about to come across a certain encounter with the certain wizard, with the certain ogres. He's able to get away, and there's a purple +3. Okay.
So the chest that Will left in the ice cave was a Vorpal. I believe Dwight had seen those ogres in Volcano and had been wiped to them before.
Yep. He was able to get away from them this time, though. Curious to see what Will's reaction was when we ended up telling him what was in that one chest, because that was literally the one chest that he hadn't checked out of all the places he'd been to.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, he's basically full cleared every single dungeon in the game, except for maybe that one chest.
He also hasn't touched ordeals, and at this point, he doesn't have. Well, he's going there now.
I think he's still got in his mind. Who knows if defense or massa or purple are out there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's also thinking about these levels on these leftover ninjas.
Yeah,
he's trying to get those levels up before rediving some of these dungeons.
Yeah, if you can get more, the more levels you can get, the better.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, Dwight getting that Oxyale and the cube out of Ice Cave, entering into Go mode, though probably won't be treating it as such for a little while yet.
Oh, and Will finding his way to ordeals, and Will actually has warp into ordeals, which means that he's going to get a couple mulligans on these.
Assuming he has spell charges.
True. Doesn't lettle with anything. I know he went to check that spell slot. Couldn't tell if he had one spell slot or 0 at that point.
Well, he's checking the trap tile, and it's an SP and a Frost Cat.
Meanwhile, Dwight picking up his Adamant out of Ice Cave, which I believe we know leads to the crystal, which will eventually lead to the floater.
Correct.
Still trying to figure out that pattern to the ordeal's pillars. Looks like he's almost there.
Yep.
I believe I've seen Falconic still in chat. Speaking of ordeal's pillars, those were vanilla.
Yep.
randomized flag was never turned on.
Nope, it was vanilla the whole time.
The whole time
I was gonna wait and say it until Will actually made it through, but yeah, it was totally vanilla layout.
I mean, I saw him pause a couple times, and I was like wondering if he was debating about checking that third pillar in the long room instead of the second. But nope, it looks like neither of our runners caught on to the fact that those pillars were actually in their vanilla layout.
Either that, or they just couldn't make that assumption.
Yeah. And I gotta hand it to Falconic for picking two great flags that really took Will by surprise.
To be fair, I think the pillars took Dwight by surprise too. I think he had about as much issue as Will did.
Well, I don't think he got to experience the lack of crown.
True, yeah.
that Will did.
But that's because he had turned in the herb a heck of a lot sooner than Will did.
That is true. That is true. So with Will finishing off ordeals, I think it's time for him to make some fiend dives.
Well, he could. Well, yeah, it looks like he's gonna go ahead and knock out Guy while he's here.
Oh, he could be planning on leveling in the desert first, potentially.
Nope. He's just burning a couple encounters and diving right down, and probably just doing a walking grind.
The downside to the walking grind is that he's not going to get those. He's not going to be able to recharge those spell slots. It looks like he had one spell per slot diving into barrage.
Yep, on that top ninja, yeah. The bottom one didn't have any as of yet.
However, he does have that Fade Staff.
Yep.
And
the Fade Staff, the Fire 3 Sword, that does a lot of work, and looks like he's doing his grind right there on Mirage 3 as Dwight gets this floater.
Now, a key thing to note is that with Dwight picking up that floater, they're still tied one orb to one orb.
Yep.
And it looks like, is Dwight in go mode as well? It looks like he has everything he needs.
He's definitely in go mode.
So really, we have runners both in go mode, both with one orb lit. Difference is that Dwight has 4 light warriors of equal level, whereas Will is only running 2. Dwight has also not promoted yet.
Which I'm sure he will in a moment.
Oh, absolutely.
But oh my goodness, these I'm noticing now these worms are giving a lot of experience. That last fight was about 4,000.
Oh wow. Yeah, no wonder Will's taking time to do this grind here before heading up to fight Fiend Dungeon.
At this point, I'm kind of curious how he's planning on going.
Good question.
And he's up to 28 now. I think he came into this dungeon at 26.
That's definitely a fast grind there. Wow, and they're only hitting for 1 damage on that top light warrior. So I don't think Will has to worry about this grind at all.
Opal Bracelet +5 can do that.
Oh, yeah.
I think there was an Ice Shield +3 that one's equipped with too.
Yeah, between the Opal 5s, the Ice Shields, the Ribbons, and the Pro Rings, I think Will's in good shape.
Yeah, armor is a non-issue. As Dwight gets that promotion.
And I'd like to say, even though Dwight's running with 4 light warriors instead of just 2, this seed has been very generous with the armor in terms of the number of opal bracelets and bins and pro rings and pro capes that these runners picked up. It doesn't really put him at a disadvantage to have or light warriors. This particular seed.
And Dwight putting on the ice sword, the katana, the vorpal. We'll see which one actually ends up being the strongest. There's that sun sword -4, which really is kind of eh.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Was it in Cardia that Will found that Fade staff?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's gonna if Dwight's gonna stumble upon that in a couple seconds, and really use that to tear into some of these dungeons.
Oh, Restreamer Darkmoon is apparently saying the Fade stick was in the Sea Shrine.
Yeah, and if it's down there in what was in Kraken side though,
yeah,
there's still a chance he could stumble across that.
Yeah, I remember which room it was. He was in the Sharknado floor, the bottom left room.
Yeah, that's really just going to depend on how Dwight feels about where he is in terms of gear when he gets to that particular floor. And where is Dwight heading?
I don't know. He never checked Sarda. Hey, does he not have the ruby?
Looks like he...
Oh, right!
Might not.
The ruby was in Marsh Keylock.
Right!
And he never went back there for it.
Right.
He's about to find that out now, though. Yeah, okay, he's like, nope, I don't have the ruby. Never mind.
I'm trying to remember what was found in Titan's Trove.
Not much. I think that's where the Fire 3 sword was.
Okay. I don't remember there being anything significant that was down there.
Yeah, I think the Fire 3 sword was it, I think.
Looks like Will's done with his grind, and he's heading straight up to Sky.
Well, I mean, he's already he's full cleared the place, so there's no other nothing else for him to do here. But he is taking fights as he goes, though.
Only risk in that is if something were to happen against Warmack or Tia 2 or Tia 1, potentially getting wiped. But given how strong and how well armored his warriors are, I think that's less of a concern.
Honestly, I'm a little surprised he didn't pop the bottle just to make menuing easier. And there's...
Whoa! What is that?
hello, random teleporter.
Oh my!
Right. So we're at the Bridge of Destiny. If you want to see our favorite robot, get your Bliss RNGs in chat.
And who knows if we're going to see Warmack as required at the end of this bridge. I guess we're about to find out.
And it's no
required Warmack.
No required Warmack.
Let's see how this Tia fight goes. Will opting to temper his one spell slot. I think that's a good move considering the Fade staff on the other ninja.
Oh, and going for the Bane. Had one shot of Bane. Didn't work though.
Oof. hitting for almost 200 damage to that top light warrior. Just throwing out the nuke.
Well, when you don't have too much for options, make the most of it. Although Tiamat is whittling down that top ninja. Not even bothering to swing. You just keep
I don't feel like I have seen him swing a sword yet to figure out what the absorb rate is.
He has not. Oh, now he is. 3 hits for 71.
Tia throwing out Blaze, which only did about 60-some damage. Not throwing out the strongest attacks, but we still don't know how much HP Tiamat has.
5 hits for 236.
Looks like you got a number of crits on that, too.
Yeah. And looks like Dwight is going to do the bottle turn-in.
Will's got to be hoping now, because that grind that he's spent a good amount of time doing. Oh, and there's Thunder.
Uh-oh.
Fortunately, only taking about 40 damage to each of his light warriors.
Using the heal potion strats. And the top ninja is down.
And
Fade doing did some good damage. Hit for 100. And
he goes down.
Wow, Tiamat reigns supreme.
Wow. So the choice to go all the way up to Tia without saving after the grind did not do WillBloodworth any favors.
And LaFane had the mass immune -5. I say again, Massa -5.
-5.
And notice that Dwight was equipped that Sunsword -4. Is that actually better than an Ice +5? I'm not sure it is.
I don't think it is. And Will trying to figure out what to do with himself after that disappointing wipe to Tia.
He might be redirecting his efforts to Kraken.
Interesting that he'd go for Kraken before going back to Volcano and hitting Carry. Oh, Sea Shrine is...
Or taking the grind in Waterfall.
Oh, right. There is that grind tile in Waterfall. That's a smart play.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping track of those grind tiles to find not only a grind tile that's probably going to give him a lot of experience, but one that's very close to the overworld map, so he can have fast saves and recoveries.
Mm-hmm. Although if it really came down to it, he does have that charge of warp.
That's true. That's true. Looks like the Fade Staff takes him down in almost one swipe.
Yeah, between the Fade and the Fire 3, they're going down in one round. Although the Ice Sword does just as good.
I was gonna say we're learning that a swing of the Ice Sword does a lot more than that Fire 3 did. Apparently, Will's learning that his ninjas can swing a sword.
And we found Fast at level 7, and I did see that Saber was at level 6 in LaFane. So those are not available.
We did find Temper, but only having four spell charges at a maximum. Only so much that Temper can do.
Yeah, especially when you only have so much of it.
Yeah.
Well, we were also comparing the use of Fire, that basically Fire 3, not exactly, he wasn't swinging the Fire 3 sword, he was using the Fire 3 part of the sword.
Yes,
and
yes.
Meanwhile, the Ice Sword is proving superior.
Absolutely. I mean, and the Ice Sword is by far one of the better swords to pick up in in comparison to other ones that are equipable to the ninja, especially when it's +5, it's going to be a solid weapon for him.
Yeah. Question in chat: is it better to temper one character or spread them out? I would say if you're going to temper, you just try to get as many stacks on one single character, because that way that one character is just doing lots and lots of damage.
Yeah, I'd agree. You typically want to temper a character that's going to have a larger number of hits. That temper is going to end up doing work exponentially.
If you focus the tempers all on one, you might have one character hitting for, say, 800, as opposed to spreading them out and having two characters doing like maybe 300 each.
Yeah, it's definitely worthwhile to lump your tempers on. Oh, trying to remember, I know you can maximize your evade using invis. I can't remember if this is something that was fixed or something I misread, but that you could actually roll over your damage count over the 256 counter and roll back to 0. I don't remember if that's accurate, but that is a potential danger of throwing too much temper at something.
I don't know, but Dwight is coming up against Carrie here. And Carrie is being pretty high on absorb.
But taking a lot more damage than the first attempt at Carrie.
Well, even a Masa -5 is going to be better than a Coral +1. And that was the best thing Dwight had, but the Masa wielder is down.
Yeah, but he's still dealing, 50. Oh, and there goes Tia too.
Yep.
That goes Carrie.
Carrie is down. I still say Dwight should. That top ninja still has that Sun Sword equipped. I still think the Ice Sword is going to be a better option.
Oh, absolutely. That being said, Dwight has 2 orbs lit to Will's 1.
Yep. But we did see how beefy Tiamat was, so we'll see how Dwight will handle that with at the level he's at.
Yeah. That being said, we've already said that Fast is unlearnable, and there's only so many temper charges that can be used. I mean, really, those bringing in half of the DPS to that Tia fight. So this decision to have 2 light warriors instead of 4, I think this might be where it could start to hurt Will and give Dwight a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, the worse the Fiend fights get, the better it benefits Dwight in this particular circumstance.
Yeah. Dwight deciding to check the key lock Temple of Fiends check.
He might be checking to see what his trap tile options are, and there was another Opal +5, and it looks like I saw WillBloodworth had 4 charges on both ninjas, so his grind is done.
Dwight has his light warriors up to level 20. And I didn't see where Will ended up. I saw him in the high 20s in the middle of that grind.
34.
34?
Yep. And he is reviving the other 2 ninjas.
Interesting choice. Looks like he was considering trying to pass out some of those magical weapons, maybe so that they could lay down the Fade and the Fire 3, and have his higher leveled guys just scale out DPS with the swords, but let's see what he does with these other two level 1 light warriors.
And it looks like Dwight is heading for the trap tiles in northwest. Oh, hello.
Tyros.
3 Tyros. I wonder how much experience these gave.
They're going down very fast.
Yeah, and not for much though.
Not enough for a extended grind.
Yeah, Dwight is pretty much scouting trap tiles at this point. Will, you had already checked all these chests.
I mean, at this point, pretty much the only chest he hasn't checked is that one Vorpal 3 chest in ice. And he did go through ordeals, right?
They've both been through ordeals.
Yeah, so all I can think of is that one chest in ice.
Pretty much, yeah.
Then the validation chest, but that's not going to come for quite some time.
Yeah. And Will also hasn't done anything with the slab yet, though. Nope. He probably isn't that concerned about it at this point.
Yeah. I'm not sure he would go out of his way, especially with Blurst on. There's the question of, are you going to get, a vanilla Massa, a Massa +5, or a Massa -5? As we've already found out, the Massa -5, it just changes how you're going to approach equipping that weapon.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a good weapon. It's just not as good.
Right.
And as our tracker Ragnarok mentioned, he hasn't even translated the slab. So if he had any thoughts on checking that, he probably would have done that by now.
Yep. And Will's 2 downed light warriors are now up at level 11.
Yep.
So they are moving quickly through some of these levels.
And probably more importantly, they're gaining spell charges very fast. I think one of them might already be at 4, because one of them was at level 1 previously.
Right. And I think that's really going to help him on this Kraken fight, especially if Kraken's going to deal one-on-one damage. And that really gives Will 2 extra rounds to deal out damage with his other light warriors before receiving any damage.
Tracker reminding me that ninjas don't start gaining spell slots until level 15. I did not realize that.
It's just another one of those things that no matter how long you run this game, there's always things that you're going to be learning and remembering. I had no idea there was that level 15 minimum.
Well, in the vanilla game, how often are you going to be promoting pre-15? Or that far pre-15, I guess. Meanwhile, okay, so WillBloodworth we're getting our first look at Kraken.
Meanwhile, Dwight's hitting that same grind tile and waterfall that Will had just left shortly before.
Yep.
And we're seeing those temper strats come out.
I saw 1 for 1. And the bottom ninja is getting tempered.
And
the lock hit. And run goes down.
Kraken being Kraken just one-shots him.
And even after all those tempers, there's still 5 hits for 375.
I mean, doesn't seem like much, but considering how much absorb these enemies have had, 2 hits for 440. That's not bad.
Nice.
Duke only doing 130 though. Oh, the 11 HP left on that second ninja. That's going to be really helpful. And there goes Kraken.
Kraken is down. That's 2 orbs lit for Will.
And given his current levels, I don't see Fury being much of a challenge at all for Will. Will's using up some of his heals to make sure he can all the way up to 99.
Yep. Better to have 99 than 92.
Exactly. And you can tell that Will's looking for a very difficult Topher. Oh, especially when you're getting down like deep into Topher, you end up using up 95, 96 heal pots before getting to Chaos.
Looks like Will is doing some more grinding, probably to get some spell charges on those other 2 ninjas.
Yeah. With the difficulty that they've been running into in this seed, you can't feel bad about more levels. And considering how difficult that Kraken fight was, Will knowing that Carrie's going to be, or Tia's going to be an even more difficult fight, I think levels is a smart play.
Yeah, so starting at 15, both Lock and Run will get their 4 spell charges at level 21. So we'll see if that's Will's goal here. And Dwight is passing by all the chests on the Sharknado floor. Will be missing out on that Fate Stick.
We'll see how he plays against Kraken, and especially now that Will has decided to gain some levels on those other 2 light warriors, those other 2 ninjas. We'll see how Dwight's deal against Kraken. It was a very, very difficult fight for Will. There you go, Dwight getting ready for his Kraken fight.
Looks like he's just going straight nuke.
368 for that first nuke. 102, 103, 226. So it
2 high, yeah, 2 high rolls, 2 low rolls.
And I think that's the bigger statement, that Dalt was able to take a full Kraken hit and still be standing.
Well, I mean, Will's armored up ninjas were able to do the same.
Yeah, but without those spell slots, wow, that was a much quicker fight for Dwight than it was for Will.
Oh yes.
And now Dwight taking the advantage of 3 orbs lit to 2.
Yep. And he's been pretty much just go-moding Seed. Will likely do the same for Sky.
Yeah, absolutely. But even though Will was the first one to leave the Inner Sea, the first one in the air, you might actually see Dwight be the first one to go into Topher.
Will analyzing his situation. He's got 2 ninjas at 37, 2 at 18, which means they should have 2 spell slots apiece on the lower ones.
I think the other benefit of this grind is not only will be getting extra spell slots on those other 2 ninjas, but also still gaining more levels on his higher leveled ninja. That's just going to keep doing more damage.
And although one of the ninjas went down, I didn't see what happened there.
I didn't see when that happened, but it wasn't too long ago. Looks like almost 38 and 21. Looks like what that split is.
Yeah, that's 4 spell slots for the bottom one, but he's still going. Oh, there we go.
It looks like you were right that he was really focusing on his 4 spell slots.
Unfortunately, that third ninja is still only at 18.
But I could see him in gaining enough levels as his back through.
Yeah.
And it looks like Dwight is just promoting its True Sky.
Alright, so get your plus RNGs. We got another trip through the Bridge of Destiny. Let's see if we find ourselves a war mech or something similar.
And who knows what skin war mech would have when we run into them, or if we run into them.
Oh, only had 1 encounter, though. Alright, let's see. Dwight's just going straight nuke again.
And it looks like it's yielding similar results. High 300s, a low 100. See if TMF is generous.
Honestly, I for one probably would have tried maybe have one of them Bane instead.
Just given the higher probability of it hitting, 1 round win is always better than a 12 round win.
Yeah. And Tiamat throws an ink, and oh yeah, we have Zozo Melmond, and there's water, which seems kind of ironic.
And Tiamat doing what he does best and just destroying. Oh!
And down goes Tiamat. And Will is turning in the slab.
Oh, but that's Dwight's 4th orb, and with Dwight already being in go mode, he's ready for potentially a Topher dive, but I could imagine he's going to go potentially, isn't already, consider picking up some extra magic or items trying to make that dive.
I think he's already bought all the magic that he can. So if he's doing anything, it's either stocking up on potions or grinding for some more levels.
Looks like he's making his way.
Yeah, he hadn't done the bottle turn in either. So we know that the fairy had about 4,000 gold, I think. Yep, 4104, and that LaFane had that Masa -3 that Will might use just because he's got enough ninjas that it's probably still better than a dragon sword.
Yeah. Especially now that he's making the choice to go with 4 ninjas instead of 2. He's got to be wanting a little bit more firepower.
What's that? He's still thinking. I want to say them. I don't know if we had seen all the different item magics that we could have had. But there's that Masmune -5. Will he keep it? Looks like he's gonna keep it.
Dwight making his Topher dive, and we'll see. And it looks like it's going to be a vanilla Topher dive. We are not going to have the short Topher.
Nope.
He's making a quick U-turn to head towards the staircase, and he heads long into his first Topher dive at 2 hours and 21. And a Phantom Fish. A rather beefy Phantom Fish.
Still goes down in 1 round, though.
100 XP.
And some money, and some more money.
Dwight validating his run, and in the loot. I even. And our wonderful timer Ragnarok pointing out that yes, our timer is off for good.
No, actually, no, it isn't.
Oh,
Our Restreamer Dark Moon accounted for that. Well, it looks like Will might be taking a bit of a walking grind here in the desert.
He's gotta start making those last two those dungeon dives.
Because he still has air and fire left to do, and Dwight pulls Lich too.
And there's really no way for Will to know exactly where Dwight is right now. I mean, all Will knows, Dwight could still be in the light.
Ooh, hello, Nuclear.
And it's showing that you cannot overlook Lich.
None. Has also proven to be kind of high on the absorb front. Although a Sun Sword -4 isn't going to do a heck of a lot anyway.
Very true.
And there's a nuke too. Oh. Dear. Okay, yeah, Lich 2 deserves respect.
And now Dwight going off to the desert himself. I can assume that this means he's gonna try for a grind, or maybe he's gonna check some tests that he didn't check on his first run.
I think it might be more for the XP at this point, because I think he saw that worm tile and liked what he saw.
Yeah.
And with the warp charges, getting out is going to be quick and easy.
That is true.
And I see that that last ninja on Will's side is up to 20.
And it looks like both of our runners are going to be. Will left a little early. Our runners were just about to do a virtual high five there on that one trap tile. We'll see how long Dwight decides to stay on this particular grind tile.
See how high he plans on going. Because he already has at least three charges on all of them already, so getting the fourth one won't take very long. It's just a matter of how high he plans on going after that.
Well, I can imagine after seeing how much damage out, he's got to be wondering about his own range's absorb rates and in whether or not they can actually take the amount of that some of these Topher bosses are.
Honestly, the absorb wasn't the issue against Lich 2. It was the nuke and the nuclear.
Meaning, yeah.
Alright, and Will is about to take another stab at Tiamat 1.
Depending on how this Tiamat fight goes, really diving Volcano again to get to Terry is not going to take very long.
Will got a first strike, and he's just loading up on the tempers. Definitely a different school of thought compared to Dwight. Dwight just went all in on the nukes, and Will's just going all in on tempers and swinging. Five hits for 82 from Tiamat. But yeah, Will did end up keeping that massa, and it's doing work.
That last.
Oh, he's going the Bane strats.
Going Bane strats.
First one fails. Second one succeeds. Poison smoke terminated. Tiamat is down.
After all of those tempers and after all that work getting massa, Bane strats down Tiamat.
Yep. So all Will has to do now is go take out Carrie, and probably make a quick trip over to Topher and see how he fares against Lich 2.
This should be interesting. Again, depending on how long it takes, Dwight decides to stay on this grind tile. I mean, there's a chance that our two runners could be diving Topher right around the.
Yep. And Dwight finally saw that the Ice Sword was superior over the Sun Sword in this particular case. 'Cause if you're not overly familiar with how strong weapons are, it's never a bad idea to at least compare things when you're in these blurst conditions.
Absolutely, especially when you're doing burst plus like -5 to +5. There's a lot of overlap between weapons, especially when it comes to Ice Sword versus Dragons. You almost always equip Ice Sword, but when it comes to Blurst, you really have to throw out a lot of those previous notions and look at every single weapon.
Yeah, although like stuff like rapiers and whatnot, maybe not, but for like when it comes to your endgame weapons, knowing whether or not the Sun Sword, the Ice Sword, the Defense Sword, knowing which one is actually best can mean a lot.
Absolutely. And to clarify on Blurst, it stands for is blessed and cursed. That's why we have that spelling BLURC.
Yeah, because it could be good, it could be bad, could be blessed, could be cursed. You never know until you find them.
It's like Will's gearing up for his final Fiend fight as Dwight continues to grind down to a couple more levels.
And as our tracker notes, it could be vanilla. There is a 1 in 11 chance that it's any given item is vanilla. If I did the math right. Math on Twitch.
Yeah, dangerous.
And Will is just opening up the nukes on to Carrie, and Carrie responds with an Ice 2.
She only does 30-40 damage, and
the nukes get the job done. Will lights up orb number 4, and we'll see how much preparation he decides to do. With the fact that he popped the house right then and there means he might just be going to Topher right now.
Yeah.
Or no, okay, he's gonna stock up a little bit first.
So he's probably get some items. This really is going to come down to Topher. Dwight's been grinding all of his ninjas at about the same level. Will has some difference between his ninjas, but more time he plays through, it's going to be very interesting to see how both of these runners react to first of all, that Lich Tube hurdle that they have to get through, let alone all the other bosses. Looks like WillBloodworth in his first dive into Topher at the 2-hour, 30-minute, and 50-second.
And he's burning an encounter in Topher? Okay.
Might be looking for a grind. If he's not confident enough on his pulls.
That's the case. We've already seen a couple of decent grind tiles here. I'm kind of curious that he's deciding to do this here. That was a lot of experience, though. Holy cow.
Yeah. It looks like his higher level ninjas are around the low 40s.
Yeah, 41, I think. Yeah.
It looks like he's gonna do a mini grind right here.
Yeah, he's gonna burn a lot of his nukes, warp out, pop a house, and then go back in.
I mean, especially with the way that these fiends have been playing for the entirety of this, it's really a better safe than sorry. Especially, you're gonna end up losing all of the levels you would have gained to run down for in one shot.
I just find it interesting that Will decided to do this here and now, as opposed to going back to, say, the worm tile that Dwight's doing.
Right.
Now, it feels weird that you would try into the unknown for little mini grind as opposed to doing what you know is a good encounter.
I think that might be what he's doing right now.
I'm not sure where he's going. He might be going back to Waterfall, actually.
Yeah. Because it looked like he got about 6,000 experience at most recent.
Yeah.
For
which is pretty good.
It looked like it took a lot of items and a lot of rounds to get through it. So maybe this would be less experience, but potentially a more efficient.
Yeah. Yeah, faster fights. Yeah, I see that. Meanwhile, Will's top two is around 41, 42. I believe Dwight's whole party across the board is at around 36.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I mean, I can imagine that as these runners are grinding, they've got to be thinking, okay, is the minimum level number I feel comfortable getting to before trying to do a grind. If you try to grind for longer, you get a lot more hit and defense. However, you're giving up time that your opponent could be using to finish Topher before you.
One potential thought. Assuming that either of our runners is actually paying attention to SRL, they've noticed that they're probably under the thought of, my opponent hasn't finished yet. Considering the grief that I went through on this seed, Topher must be something completely horrible if my opponent hasn't finished yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just to look back at, what these runners have experienced, I mean, just even thinking about how hour and a half ago, Bill was substantially ahead of Dwight in terms of key items collected and orbs lit. And really, Dwight has completely caught up. And these runners are essentially both grinding for this one Topher dive. It's really going to be a matter of who decides to pick that perfect level. It's high enough to survive, low enough that you don't waste time.
And what I find interesting is at least Dwight has some information regarding Topher. He knows how bad Lich 2 is. Will is doing this whole grind sight unseen, just under the assumption that Topher is a nasty piece of work.
Well, I think typically when you fight a boss in Topher, you're expecting them to be more difficult than what you've seen previously. And these first round have been horrendous, especially to Will. I mean, we've seen these Fiends rape our runners, and I can imagine that Will is expecting substantially worse when he takes this first shot at Topher.
And so I believe Dwight ended his grind at 38. Not sure why Dwight chose that specifically, but that's what he went with. Oh, it's 39, actually.
And another thing to consider, and I don't always, remember the stats particularly, but there are different hit numbers. The higher the level, the more hits that your characters are going to have.
True.
And it might be that Dwight was just looking for that one more hit on each of his weapons.
Which, when you've got the burst equipment, you even have to fudge the numbers a little bit just to take that into account. Because if you're thinking about the vanilla hit numbers, depending on what the weapons themselves rolled, you might have to adjust accordingly.
It looks like Dwight is making a full dive here into Topher.
Yep. He's just going straight in.
And Will's still not feeling confident enough in his levels, continuing on.
I'm thinking if he's trying to be safe, I think he might. I don't know what the max HP is on those two middle ninjas, but I think he wants it to be at least 400. Just so they can survive a nuke if it comes down to it.
Well, his top level ninjas are at 46 and 47, I think. You gotta wonder if he's thinking, should I just get these up to 50 and and dive with fully leveled characters? Or is he going to cut it a little bit early?
Maybe.
Dwight's about to find out what his grind has done for him as he takes his second attempt against Lich 2.
That odd moment when Lich 2 is actually being a gatekeeper.
Yes. Oof.
And Lich leads off with the nuke.
Yeah, that...
And yeah, that absorb on that Lich. Oh my goodness.
Even with all of those levels.
You need to be either buffing or nuking. Because just swinging is not going to cut it.
Oh, I mean, the only hope he would have is if that Vorpal crits enough, but it looks like it's just not doing this fight.
Not this time, no.
We are starting to see these hits break into the 1 in 200 ranges.
Oh, there we go.
Goes.
But that nuke did a lot of damage, and that's going to be a lot of heal potions going to be burned right away.
And we were talking earlier about the importance of making sure you have 90 pots instead of 95 or 92. Those last couple heal pots can mean the difference between surviving a Topher run and getting wiped. And it's even right now, it looks like Dwight's already down to the high 30s in heal pots. If he gets another boss fight like that, he's not going to have enough pots to get to the end.
No. Doesn't help when the regular enemies can hit you for triple-digit damage too.
Yeah, exactly. And we haven't even thought about this. It lies at the end of Topher. Because the way that our flags run, it might not be chaos. We actually don't know whether or not these flags are the vanilla set to find chaos at the end of this dungeon, or if we're going to find one of our alternate bosses.
Well, it looks like Carrie has less absorbed than Lich 2 did. Because Dwight's party is hitting for more damage. Well, generally hitting for more damage.
Yeah. Well, it did look like Lich didn't have the highest amount of HP, and we'll see if Carrie follows. I think the important thing is Dwight's going to have to decide whether or not he just lets one of these ninjas go down just to save on heal pots.
Yeah, because we still got... Another thing I'm noticing is that Dwight is not being the most efficient with his heal potion usage. He's feeling his ninjas up to full. So each heal potion does 30. When you're using a heal potion to only heal for like 10, that's a waste in my mind.
Absolutely. And now, getting into some unrunnable golems. Unfortunately, they're going down in one hit, but these things can hit hard. And then, again, it keeps going back to heal pot, man.
And Dwight's making his way through the water floor. Will has finished his grind. I did not see what the levels were.
I didn't either. I just noticed that he had left the waterfall. Well, Dwight heads on to Kraken too, and now Dwight's starting to dip into his magic.
Yep, he's tempering the Vorpal user, I believe.
And that's not a bad play considering the crit rate on that Vorpal.
Oof, that was a 2 tempered swing, and it did less than 100. And there's Zap.
Oh, Zap.
I only took out 1, but still, 5 hits for 649 though. That's pretty good. And Kraken has Bane too, and that's another ninja down. Oh dear.
Dwight's still being able to deal out the damage, but with 2 light warriors down, he's got to be scared.
Where's the Zap again? And Kraken 2 is down.
To answer the question in chat, yes, we have a katana, but the katana is -3 and the Vorpal is +3.
Yep.
I'm not sure if we've looked at stats specifically about katana -3 versus Vorpal +3, but I think that's factoring into Dwight's decision.
If anything, the crit rate is probably factoring. That was 15,000 experience from that last encounter for Dwight. Wow.
Wow. I don't know the comparison of vanilla crit rate between Vorpal and Katana. They're both high.
Yeah, I want to say in the fixed crit rate, I think they're equal.
Yeah, if they're equal, then definitely the Vorpal +3 is going to be better than that Katana -3. It looks like chat's saying this.
All right, so Dwight's down to 2 heal potions as we pull into Tiamat 2.
Looks like he's going right to temper strats.
Mm-hmm.
And Will taking his first crack at Lich 2.
And got lucky and had a free first round to do it with. Ooh, 7 hits for 768. Wow.
And Lich being nice.
Tiamat is down.
Lich being very nice to Will, just doing melee attacks instead of throwing out that nuke or nuclear.
Oof, yeah. Oh, there's the nuke.
The nuke comes out doing a good bit of damage, but all of his light warriors still standing. There goes Lich 2. And now it's a question of what's Dwight about to find.
And we got the Undead Party Pack.
Nuclear in round 1.
2 Lich 2s and 4 Phantoms, and we know how bad the Lich 2s are. Oh boy, this is going to be interesting.
Oh, this has got to be Dwight's worst night.
Well, that's... Oh boy. And wow. Just like that.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Oh, gee.
If
okay.
You one Lich 2 bad, how about 2 Lich 2s with Fiends?
Oh, my, wow.
I mean...
And that was just the nukes that went off. We know Lich 2 has nuclear, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
I think Will experienced a nuke, but doesn't still yet know the depth of how bad it can be.
No.
You gotta wonder if Dwight's thinking, should I just grind up to 45, 50? Or you gotta wonder what's going through his head at this point.
Yeah, it's just like, what do I just gain levels or
Yeah, I mean, he has pretty much the best armor in the game. There's not much you could do in that. You just take a joyride to collect his thoughts before rediving?
Perhaps. Meanwhile, Will is at carry 2. The locks not being very accurate here.
It's like Will just doing steady damage.
Yeah, that Fate Stick is definitely helping Will.
Yeah, I think
it's allowing more consistent damage at the very least.
I like how you say that. It's the consistency. Yes, we have some of these weapons that have higher crit rates. Still, like, we're not going to get a consistently good amount of damage from every single weapon.
And carry 2 goes down. And just bear in mind that Will does not have that Vorpal, so that is not an option for him. Well, his options are the Ice Sword +5, the Katana -3, and I believe he did keep that Masa -5.
And in Noctis Vigil, bringing up in chat, we have those Harm 4 helmets, which
yeah,
for most bosses, that's not very useful. But in the Lich pack, all of those undead are susceptible to harm 4. That could be a great option to burn some nukes and then drop to those harm 4 helm.
Yeah, I would probably favor throwing the nukes out first, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like they're sharing a spell slot with anything else.
True. Well, at the moment, it looks like Will has 2 harm 4 helms on that run, that first ninja. And at this moment, Will doesn't know that it's gonna be the Lich 2 and Friends pack for the final boss. He's probably still expecting chaos.
Oh, well, there's Zap Hits 2. And we know there's a Bane coming out on the way as well.
Didn't we see on Dwight's screen we got Zap, Bane, and then Zap again? So this Kraken fight, this is gonna make it difficult to get to that very last boss with enough light warriors. Dwight deciding to reset during that Lich fight. I mean, all of his ninjas were at very low HP, and he's already had to burn through all of his heal pots in one of these dives.
Kraken throwing a Lit 2.
It looks like Dwight might be making that grind decision. He's already tried to dive it a couple extra times, and hasn't really gotten that far into Topher.
Will is just continuing to chip away at Kraken here. And Kraken 2 is down. And it turns out, yeah, one of those, that zap was through a ribbon. That bottom ninja did have a ribbon. And
Will letting us know that,
Yep.
the ninja had a ribbon. I saw the up ninja was what, level 38? Didn't quite catch what the buff. Level 50. So we got 34, 35, and 50. That level 50 ninja in front, I'm wondering if he's hoping that they'd help him have to rely on those.
nah, he moved up to the front to make menuing easier.
Ah,
But it looks like he didn't move over the fade stick.
that massa is not doing.
Ooh, Team of 2 has nuke.
That massa is just not doing the amount of damage that you would hope to.
No, it's not. And we're down to 1.
I mean, at this point, if you're Will, you're hoping you're surviving just to find out what your final boss is going to look like.
Oh boy.
Final boss.
It was low 2, but it missed. Whole day and pray. And no, oh my goodness.
What decision Will decides to make.
Hey, you've already got 2 of your party members at level 50. There's not much more you can do, at least not on that front. But Dwight's resuming the grind back in Mirage. He's at least one of his ninjas is up to 41. Thinking he might. Yeah, I wonder if he's just going to go straight 50 across the board.
I mean, if you're sitting in his spot, you've got to be thinking, right, I've done level grinds, I've had to dive, I've gotten wiped, another level grind, got wiped again. Like, if I just get to level 50, that just takes this concept off the table. I know that I'm as level as I'm gonna be, and if I get wiped again in Topher, that's RNG, and I just gotta dive and dive and dive until RNG ends up in his. Well, Will still into his. This is his second dive, correct?
I think so. So, Falcomic did mention in chat that once our runners saw that tavern mode was on, they did have a gentleman's agreement to not use it, to keep the 4 ninjas all the way through. They haven't said anything in SRL wanting to go away from that, at least not yet. So we'll see how long they decide to persevere through this.
You've got to imagine that these runners are probably going to try to manage everything they can before trying to get to that step of thinking about reworking these parties or allowing each other to class change.
So if you, just as a hypothetical, if you were to swap out one of these characters through the tavern mode, what would you pick? Which class would you swap in?
Keep him at level 50?
Yeah.
Black belt. That's my go-to. I mean, you could say black mage for maybe fasts.
That was my first thought, though. Having a white wizard for potential for healing capabilities, like say Life 2 and Cure 4 and all that stuff, that would be a good thing too.
Yeah, I mean, these fiends have just had so much absorbed to them. With buff Vorpal and white magic, the knight could play. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could set up that party. And if you go for the black mage, you've got your fast, you've got your extra nuke charges, you've got your locks. If you decide the white mage, you've got all of your cures. You have life, which honestly, life would be a huge asset to these runners after that Kraken fight.
Honestly, having Invis too probably wouldn't be a bad thing either.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and you've also got the fighter that's just more absorb. Problem is, we've already gotten rid of most of the fighter.
Sorry to interrupt, but I want to. Dengu mentioned that the problem with the black belt, since we already have a master, would be +1 MDef. That is not true. On these flags specifically selected for the MDef growth of black belt master being +3 and +4 respectively. So the master would be getting the +4.
Not like our runners would have known that, but
right,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, our runners would have no way of knowing that, but yeah.
That I think Denwy brings up a great point of MDef choice is going to be really play into that decision too.
So Will has made it to the water floor once again. All 4 ninjas alive. Well, Dwight is still going through the worms. I suspect Dwight is just going to go straight 50.
Yeah, I don't know if I would want to risk having to potentially dive over again, come back out, and have to grind those last 2 or 3 levels. I can imagine he's going to stay here till 50. I think also brought up in chat by Zardia, you know, also if you bring the Knight, you have the opportunity to have some white magic spells. Let's say Life 2 or Cure 4 was in one of those first 3 spell levels. That Knight would have not only the ability to tank a lot of that damage, they'd also have some of that healing magic.
But the downside is you'd have to scout all of those white magic shops, because with having this be for thieves, there was no reason to check the white magic.
Absolutely. Well, and we're looking at Will's second bout against Kraken. Only losing 1 ninja this time to the Zap, and we'll see if he can luck out to not get wiped by the upcoming Bane or that second Zap that just...
Well, I want to say the Bane had already gone through. That's the second Zap already.
I gotcha.
And I think Dwight is at 50. Yep, Dwight's 50 across the board. Not getting any stronger than that.
It looks like this might come down to, is Will's party enough to get through it on this dive? Because if Will gets wiped in this dive, then Dwight has a strong chance to come back and win this.
Kraken 2's down.
But we know what awaits Will at the end of this dungeon, and who knows if he's going to be able to survive.
And Dwight contemplating his armor options here. Best thing there for the ninjas was the Ice 2 armor, but I think the Opal +2 combined with the ribbon, the Opal +5 rather, combined with the ribbons is probably still the better thing.
Not sure exactly what he would be looking for.
I don't know. He's looking through the armor. I think I think he just wants to make absolutely sure he's got the best equipment he can have before diving again.
Well, it looks like he's found the pro ring shop, but he already has pro rings.
Was there the Ice 3 shield?
Oh, the Ice 3 shield. Okay.
That's the one. That's a significant enough improvement right there.
Yeah, from the buckler to an Ice 3. Yeah.
Meanwhile, WillBloodworth is facing off against Tiamat. Just saw a blizzard there. And I noticed that either through luck or something else, Will, having taken down Tiamat 2, hasn't had to use nearly as many heal potions as Dwight did. Maybe he must have gotten lucky and didn't get the full wrath of the nuke from Lich 2.
Well, I mean, he's about to get a rude awakening when it comes to Lich fights once he gets down to the bottom of Topher here. And we'll see if Lich is nice to him. I mean, the first time he came down, Lich essentially only used melee attacks except for that one nuke. We'll see if something similar happens this time.
All right, and this is Will's first time seeing the undead fun pack or whatever you want to call it, and he's thrown out 1 nuke, and 2 nuke, and 3 nuke. If nothing else, at least some of those phantoms should go down.
Yeah, well, and lucking out by getting a melee attack from the first Lich and a second melee attack.
Oh, wow.
This could be the opportunity he was looking for. Still taking out all of the phantoms and only having the 2 Liches left to go.
He's just going straight nuke.
I mean,
the Liches continue to be punch happy here. Okay, this is working out. Oh, there it is.
There. 2 of the light warriors.
But down goes 1, out goes 2. WillBloodworth takes it. with an official SRL time of 3 hours, 2 minutes, and 10 seconds. GG. Wow.
Jeez, the WillBloodworth.
Whoo, wow, that was something right there.
What a race. What a match. I am just shocked to have both of those liches only throwing out one nuke from those first couple rounds. I think RNG was definitely in Will's favor in that particular.
Yeah, definitely. He got some good luck there. I don't think he ever did he ever see that nuclear from Lich 2?
I don't think he saw the nuclear. I only think he saw that first nuke cast.
Hmm.
And Dwight back to Lich on his redive. And now with all level 50.
And there's the nuke again.
I think Lich uses up all of his nukes on Dwight, then has to recharge when Will decides to come and hit him.
And down goes Lich. Yeah, but that nuke, that's forcing Dwight to use up heal potions earlier than he'd probably want to.
Yeah. And again, he's trying to maintain all of his ninjas